That exuberance is exactly the way I feel. And
Well,
we are
I'll express it for you.
good. All right, so we're live. It's Car Con Carne, currently in quarantine for the foreseeable future in quarantine. Quarantine Con Carne and Quarantine Con Carne is sponsored by our friends at C&H Financial Services. Business owners, at some point, we'll all get out of the house. We will go to your businesses. We will buy your wares. We'll go to your restaurants, your bars. You're going to want C&H Financial Services on your side. They can help you eliminate 100% of the fees associated with credit and debit cards as a form of payment. Keep this web address in mind. I realize now is perhaps an impractical time for this, but it won't be for long. Freeprocessingnow.com or call 855-600-2437, extension 999, and start saving money today.
It's Car Con Carne. Let's eat in the car. It's Car Con Carne. And now here's the star of our show, James Van Alstyne.
And I am Tracie with an IE Franklin, Glen-fiddick ambassador.
I've been pronouncing this Scotch wrong for my entire 21-plus life. And
Well,
I don't think
what?
I'm not the only one. I can't be the only one.
You are not the only one. And honestly, when I first was starting at a bar and I saw it, I said Glen-fiddick too. It says Glen-fiddick on it. But we got to think that this isn't just regular English. This is Gaelic, right? So in Gaelic, Glen is valley and fiddick is deer.
That's
so
it.
Glen-fiddick, and we are on the river Fiddick, which is it's a deer river. And so Glen with the valley, got a little valley in the bottle. Fiddick, deer. It's on there right there, a stag.
I love it. Now, have you been to the distillery? Have you been?
Oh, many times. I love it very much.
I've got to think that distilleries over in Scotland are huge tourist destinations.
Well, absolutely. But what's interesting is Glen-fiddick was actually the first distillery to open a visitor center. Sorry, that is me rocking my chair. We were the first to open a visitor center in 1969. Basically, people were stopping by anyhow and kept wanting to look at, all the distillation process. And Janet Sheed Roberts came up with the idea that maybe we should actually make this into an experience. So for many, many years, Glen-fiddick offered the first visitors experience, and it was also free for a very long time until people realized, like locals, that if they just came every day, they would get free alcohol. So
That's the pro move.
Absolutely, but then they had to put a nominal charge on there. And actually, there's now different levels. So all of our whiskey experts can come by and actually have a completely different experience than somebody who's just a novice and trying to learn what distillation is and what is single malt Scotch.
And I just had that light bulb moment where I realized that that's the reason why Costco charges memberships. Otherwise, we'd go there for free pizza squares all day
Every
long.
single weekend.
And samples. It makes perfect sense. So explain for newbies or people who aren't as veteran in drinking Scotch, what exactly does single malt mean?
Yes, it's my favorite thing to do because so many people immediately associate the single malt category or single malt into something for only the premier in the of the world. Those who have graduated from law school are now going on to run a practice or things like that. For too long, we've thought that single malts are really special and should be on this pillar, and regular
guilty.
folks.
That was my mode of thinking for forever.
Well, I felt the exact same way. And once I started to experience single malt and the people that actually make and work for the single malts, then I realized it's not like that at all. Again, it's just whiskey. So first of all, single malt is just whiskey.
Got it.
But in Scotland, you can make 5 different types of whiskey. You can make grain whiskey, malt whiskey, blended grain, and blended malt. We are a malt whiskey, but specifically a single malt, and it describes itself. So single means that everything in this bottle, every single drop, is from a single distillery. So every bottle that ever says a specific brand that has a distillery, all of the whiskey in there was made at that distillery. And malt just means it's made from 100% malted barley. Single malt. Easy.
See,
it's also made in a pot still, but
this
we
is
can talk about that.
This is homeschooling the adults can get behind. As the kids are home, sheltering at home, doing their lessons online, they've got their stuff to learn. I think this is time for the adults to get a little knowledge, get a little education. Tim Diamond just checked in on Facebook. He said, now that's something I didn't know. I always say Fiddich. We all did, Tim. We all did.
We did.
Guilty.
which is why I don't want anyone to feel bad about it. So don't feel bad about it. Just take that knowledge and go tell your friends. It's Valley of the Deer, Glen-fiddick. Yeah.
Now, had you personally like taken a liking to Scotch from an early age? It was this.
Yeah,
was
so we
this
want
like a
my
dream
origin
gig?
story. Yeah.
Your origin story. You were irradiated in a lab by a spider.
Yeah, right, exactly. So I was actually a professional singer and dancer who traveled the world. Pretty much the same thing as being radiated by a spider. And while I was on tour, I was singing. And for me, alcohol does affect my voice. So I couldn't drink a lot.
Sure.
And I had to figure out what could I have that was flavorful, could last all night, and people wouldn't make fun of me. So I was sitting at a bar and somebody opened a peated whiskey. And from that moment on, I was just really in love with this whiskey that could completely transform and like it created a visceral reaction in my body. If you've ever had a heavily peated whiskey, it is just dirt and tar and, you know, it's dirty. It's like rotten fish and it's wonderful. It's just this experience you can't have any other way. It's just full of weird smokes. So that became kind of my obsession. Then I realized it was killing my palate because it's all I was drinking. So
Right.
when I tasted something more subtle, I wasn't tasting any of that beautiful delicacy. So I started to learn the category a little bit better and realized there weren't people that looked like me drinking it the way I wanted. And when I went to tastings and things, it was just me. And so a girlfriend of mine who was actually working for Dalmore now, she and I created a company that was to increase diversity in the world of whiskey. So we became a marketing arm that brands could reach out and hire. And so from the moment I tasted my first peated single malt, I was in love, but I also wanted to learn more so that I could open up the category so more people would drink it.
Love it. And Ron just checked in. He said,
Hi, Ron.
He said smoky sweet is where it's at.
Ooh.
There are different ways to drink Scotch. I mean, there are different, whether it's neat or on the rocks. I'm sure that they all have subtle degrees of taste and impact. Why don't you explain that?
So do we want to have a cocktail? Do we want to talk about with because I can do either. I have a delicious cocktail for you.
Let's continue the education, then we'll work our way up to
Okay,
a cocktail.
cool.
That's
Let's
the way it
finish
works.
with the cocktail. I like that. Okay.
Mhm.
So then what I'd like to do is talk about glassware. Is that all right?
Yeah. Do
Yeah.
it.
So this is your typical whiskey glass, Scotch whiskey glass. People have seen this. This is called a Glencairn. This was created by people who were actually at the distillery smelling, tasting, and they all got together and tried to figure out what would be the best shape. And this funnels all of your aromas right into the middle there. So it just enhances the nose of your whiskey. Also, you've got your little foot so you can touch the whiskey or you cannot, so you're not necessarily heating it. Now, this is great if you want to be nerdy. It's great because you're going to smell all those aromas. You get to sit and look fancy. However, if you would like to use a wine glass, just use a regular white wine glass that has a similar shape. You're just
Sure.
looking for that tulip shape. So you don't have to have that if you want to enhance the aromas. You can also, though, use just like a rocks glass. So this is a rocks glass that does have just a gentle turn in there. But if you were just to use a straight one, even though those aromas might be dissipating out a little bit further, it's still, it's your whiskey, enjoy it. So I don't want people to feel like there's rules. That's first and foremost. Now, what I do want to talk about is adding ice to your whiskey.
Sure.
Who adds ice to their, are there people on, am I asking actual questions? Do you add ice to your whiskey?
Yeah, I think a lot of people do whiskey on the rocks.
Right. So do you know what happens when you add ice to your whiskey?
Well, I would just assume it gets diluted. I don't know.
Absolutely. So it does get diluted. It gets diluted at a lower rate than just, of course, adding water. But what also happens is the same thing as when you personally get cold. So if you walk into a really, really cold room, all of a sudden, all of your muscles constrict, right? Everything kind of pulls into itself. The same thing happens to the flavors and the rich oils and things in your whiskey. So when you have that ice, which I'm going to go ahead and put some on ice, because I also, while I'm saying this, I don't want people to think it's something you shouldn't do. How about that?
Well, Tim on the Facebook chat just said never to drinking his
Always
whiskey on
do
ice.
what you want, Tim. It's my whiskey, not yours. No, but if you are actually looking to enhance flavor or to really dive deep into your whiskey, that's why I want to tell people, because I want them to know that if you are adding that ice, it is diminishing flavor. It is not, that doesn't mean that you can't do it. It still makes for a lovely, cool whiskey, right?
I swear to
So-
God, when you poured that, I could smell it through the screen.
What did you smell?
I smelled delicious whiskey.
So what I'm smelling actually full on is just like a light Oh, well, there's lemon right next to me. I was going to say citrus peel, but it's sitting right there. A bit of fresh pear, which is what we're known for. It's like that apple sort of pear note for Glen-fiddick. We're definitely on the fruitier side.
Now, I've got to think that
And I love that.
most civilians drinking this probably aren't picking up on those notes.
Well, I think they could, though. So what I would want for them to do, the same way that I was smelling this lemon because it was sitting next to me. So if you were to take a lemon and like when you're just putting away for your groceries, if you smell your fruit, you smell your spices, you smell your vegetables, you're going to then log that into your you're going to log that into your like sort of audit your nasal smells or your smell catalog. Sorry. And
like
when
that.
you do go in to smell your whiskey, it's going to be easier to access. So you wouldn't know that this smells like pear, but literally I have, again, pear sitting next to me and I've been cooking with pear all day. So I actually know that this so distinctly smells similarly to that. But really it's about always smelling anything around you.
Got it. Makes sense.
Yeah. So as you build that up. And then also what I do is don't just smell, but as you're smelling, think about the fact that there's going to be a sweetener. There's probably going to be a spice note. There's probably going to be an oak note. There may be something vegetal. So as you're going through, you're thinking, okay, what kind of fruit? What kind of sweetness? Is it white sugar? Is it brown sugar? Is it toffee? Is it caramels? And as you think about those things, you will kind of catch a light. Like you'll recognize that smell in your whiskey, but you have to kind of give yourself hints as to what it might be.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
All right. So are we at cocktail time?
We are at cocktail time.
Yes.
So also, if you don't want to add whiskey, but you do want to open it and explore it, just add a few drops of water.
A few drops.
So when you go to bars and you see these, that's what it's for. So it's just to add a few drops, which does open up your whiskey.
I love it. All right.
You ready?
I'm ready. To me, this is the kind of thing that you don't make into a cocktail. That you drink pure and unadulterated with mixers or anything like that. You're about to prove me wrong, though.
Right. So I understand, and that's actually why I kind of wanted to talk about pouring neat versus with your ice versus a few drops of water, because that is how most people are going to drink it. And I 100% understand that and completely support it. But I don't want for people who aren't fans of Scotch whiskey yet to feel like there's nothing else they can do but suffer through it at neat, while it's neat and like hair on your chest and it's burning. And the reason they'll feel that is just because they're not used to having strong alcohols, whether it's vodka, tequila, things like that. They're used to having a cocktail or on the rocks or something where it's watered down. So I always want people to feel comfortable learning Scotch at the same proof of what they're used to.
Makes sense.
Because that's actually what causes a lot of people to dislike Scotch, is that they get it and the person with them is like, you can't add ice, you can't add water, you have to do this, and it just burns, and they're like, I'm never doing that again. So instead, so instead I want to give people options so that they can really feel free to explore Scotch whiskey on their own and understand that it's okay to put it on the rocks. It's okay to make an old fashioned or a highball or a sour. So this is a really cool cocktail today because I basically just made sort of a pear syrup. So I took a whole pear, cut it up, and then sauteed it with, it was one pear, basically about 1 cup. And then I put 3/4 cup of sugar and then a 1/2 cup of water and just cooked that down, mashed up the pear, just let it sit, added a few allspice and cloves to give it a little bit of a spice note to it.
I bet that smelled amazing.
Oh my gosh, it still smells amazing. I wish you could smell this, guys. It smells so good. So it's just this really beautiful, bright, fresh fruit with a touch of clove, like just that little warming spice on the back of your palate. So once you have this made, you can do anything with it. And that's why I was saying you could take this, you could put like 1/2 part into a highball glass full of ice. I would put then, 1.5 parts of whiskey and then top that with soda water. And you have a beautiful pear highball. You can take, you can do 3/4 parts of the sweetener and then 3/4 part of your lemon and then 2 parts whiskey. And you've got a sour, a whiskey sour with pear. So there's so many things once you make your flavored syrups that you can do to really make some delicious cocktails.
Can we just pause and acknowledge just how cool the Glen-fiddick glassware is?
Oh, right? It was all the glassware, right?
Yeah. Looks lovely. Ron says, let's have a Scotch weekend. Ron, we're having one. All bets are off. It's Vegas rules from now until we're out of quarantine. So if you want to have a Scotch weekend, Have at it. Nothing stopping
Super
you.
excited. I mean, for me, it's Scotch all the time. So I don't know why just the weekend. Scotch
Why
all the
just the
time.
weekends? Exactly. And what you said about the pear and making that simple syrup with the pear,
Yes.
that's awesome. I mean, people need to know, since we're all stuck at home, what's the easiest way to make stuff with what I have on hand or what I can easily get? And that's
So,
it.
It is. So the biggest thing is make a syrup that's flavored. So simple syrup first, never buy it. It is just equal parts sugar and water. Boom. You
Right.
have a simple syrup, which you can put in anything. But if you take that simple syrup and you start to add flavors to it, that then makes your cocktail.
Sure.
You don't really have to do much else, because when you think about like, what is a cocktail? What is an old fashioned? It's just your simple syrup, your sweetener, bitters. If you have it, you don't even have to have bitters. You can just put some like citrus oils, and then your whiskey, your gin, or you can put anything you want to make an old fashioned. It's just sweetener and bitters and an alcohol, a spirit. So, and then if you want to do a sour, then you just add your citrus juice.
Right.
So there's so many ways to go once you make that syrup.
Can you talk about the differences in the Glen-fiddick scotches?
Absolutely.
In the line?
Absolutely. So I'm going to get my old fashioned started so I can drink that while we talk too.
Makes sense.
So I put a 1/4 ounce of the pear syrup, a 1/4 part of the pear syrup. The 12 would be normally what I put in this because it already has some beautiful pear notes, but I thought today we might contrast a little bit. So the Glenfiddich 12 is 85% ex-bourbon barrels, 15% ex-European barrels. So it's going to have a really beautiful vanilla note from the American oak, but then you're going to get just that little bit of oak spice from the European oak. So this is the one you've all seen, right? It's the green. This is our new bottling though. So you may recognize this one a little bit more, right?
Oh yeah.
Right? So, So what we did is we've done some new branding, so kind of updated a little bit. We enhanced the V. So where we are in Glenfiddich is in the Speyside region. We are in a city called Dufftown, and we are in a valley underneath the Conical Hills. So that is to show and designate our valley.
The Valley of the Deer.
Fiddick. Exactly. So we put that on the bottle, so hopefully people will understand what we're going for. And our 14 is being updated in May, but the 14 is actually one of the most popular whiskeys we have in the United States. It's Bourbon Barrel Reserve. So we are not making a bourbon because it's made from 100% malted barley, but we are taking our whiskey that's aged for 14 years in ex-bourbon barrels. Then we are putting it into barrels that we have custom made by Kelvin Cooperage, who's a family-owned cooperage out of Kentucky. Also, we are a 6th-generation family-owned company, by the way.
Very cool.
So we are working with a company to make us barrels that are toasted for a minimum 20 minutes, then charred to 3.5. So we put 14-year-old whiskey into barrels that you would normally put bourbon new make into. So we're pulling a lot of that toffees, those caramels, those coconut flavors, and a little bit of that oak char into the whiskey. And I really love that one.
Tim just said 14 is delicious.
Right, Tim? Because it's got that beautiful malt finish, though, so it's not as if it's overpowering of the barley. You still have the complexity of malted barley, which is what I love. So I put 2 dashes of the Angostura bitters and 2 dashes of the lemon bitters. So another thing that's fun, if you are home and you are looking for something to help you with your cocktails, if you have a spot that has any interesting bitters, get them all. Because those you can play with. That's how you can kind of zhuzh up your cocktails, zhuzh up your drinks. So even if you were just to do a whiskey and soda and then top it off with bitters, you have a whole fresh, beautiful cocktail that way.
Absolutely. Dan just checked in and said, this is fun. This is fun. It's a Friday night.
Glad.
We can't go anywhere, but we can do a virtual cocktail hour.
So I'm
that
going
looks
to
amazing.
spin basically until oh, that's so funny. My table's shaking. Spin until I start to see a little bit of a frost on the glass. That's going to tell me how cold the actual liquid is in there. Also a little bit about the dilution. I'll be able to feel how the ice rolls up into the top of the glass. So here we go. So now I'm starting to see so the ice sits here and then you'll see there's a frost, about an inch of frost. Yeah. So
I guarantee you none of my friends are stirring their cocktails that long.
Well, great. No problem at all.
But we're here to learn. Teach us.
You don't
Teach
need
us.
to.
Yeah.
I love it. Okay. I left the glass I was going to use. So we're going to instead use another Glen-fiddick glass.
Which is lovely.
So I'm going to pour this off of this ice only because I have a sphere. So I wanted to use a sphere so that it doesn't dilute as quickly.
Got
Now,
it.
if you're using a sphere or those large cubes, basically you have less surface area that's contacting the liquid, so it's going to dilute a little bit slower.
I swear to God, I'm learning stuff tonight. This is remarkable. I'm learning while under quarantine. This is great.
Well, you know what? I know a lot about alcohol, and I am happy to come back and teach you anytime.
Fabulous. I can teach you about comic book superheroes. That's about all I can offer
You know what? My
Yeah.
husband would, maybe we should do this because then he would love me more
See?
and it would be wonderful.
Uh-huh.
So I was going to show you our Glen-fiddick 15, but I'm not sure where there we go, where I put it. So 15 is actually the one that is in this decanter right here. So what I recommend is if you're going to put something in a decanter, make sure
That was
you
my next
drink,
question. What qualifies for the decanter?
make sure that you drink it quickly. So decanters are, they have basically usually the tops that they have aren't as tight as what the bottle would be. So you're allowing more oxygen into the whiskey. So that means it's going to oxidize faster, which means it's going to lose its brightness, its vigor, right? It's going to
Sure.
lose that because the oxygen is going to soften it. So if you're putting it into a decanter, also light affects your whiskey. You make sure that that's something you're going to drink, okay? So for me, my 15, I drink that all the time. It is delicious. It's a Solera style. It was actually invented at Glen-fiddick by David Stewart. We built an 11,000 gallon vat. Imagine that. It's 17 feet tall, and we filled it up with cask strength with whiskey.
Damn.
Right? Yeah. So there are 3 types
Let's go
of
for a
whiskey.
swim.
Okay. I literally, when I was there, I was like, I want to swim in this so badly, but you would just sink to the bottom and die.
Yeah, there's that.
It would be horrible, but it smells so delicious.
Yeah, you would
so
have an
in
exquisite smelling corpse at the end of it.
Right?
Mhm.
So in the vat, we have ex-bourbon aged whiskey, ex-sherry aged whiskey, and then we take some of the ex-bourbon and we put into casks that are new American oak, which have been toasted. So ex-bourbon, ex-sherry, and then toasted American oak. Filled it up in 1997, released it in 98, and it's never been less than half full since then.
That's
So
awesome.
we constantly put 15-year-old whiskey in. So we pull it down to half, take that out, put in 15-year-old whiskey. It's really wonderful.
Now, how often, when you're not under quarantine and COVID-19 is not a thing, how often are you going to Scotland?
We try to go twice a year.
That's great.
Yeah. So it's really about just really getting to know the people that are there so that we can maintain their stories. As ambassadors, we are the walking embodiment of the brand.
Sure.
So they want us to really know the history, know the family values, because the family is still there. And it's really important to continue that legacy.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
This has been educational, and this is going to make us all want to run out and at least pick up a bottle of 12 before the weekend's over. I mean, this is
Well, and that would be, honestly, I would love for people to get the 14 or the 12, depending on your palate. But the 12 it's been around for so long because it's good, So in 1963, we were one of the first to market single malt Scotch as a separate category from just Scotch. So that's when we really started this push to say this distillery characteristic, like this whiskey made only at Glen-fiddick or made only at Balvenie is different. So from that, we became the #1 selling single malt and still are today. But even more important, we're the most awarded. So that means that people who are judging, like, it's good juice in that bottle,
I love it.
Yeah.
Well, Tracie, I can't thank you enough for doing
my
this
pleasure.
virtually, for setting up your bar for our video purposes tonight.
Of course. And this is delicious, by the way.
I have every belief that is true. I think I've got like a Fanta in my fridge right now. That's about all I have to drink.
I have squirt.
Here's the thing: where I work, the radio station where I work, we have a soda vending machine. Working in broadcasting, you always want caffeine. There's like one option for Diet Coke and like 2 for Squirt. Who's drinking all
no.
that Squirt in the building? It makes me crazy.
I don't know, but
Okay.
it mixes well.
I think that's it. I think that's the reason why. These are radio people.
It might be.
Lots of vodka and gin stashed under those desks. I'm sure of it.
Amazing.
But Tracie, thank you so much. This truly was educational. This
was my pleasure. Thank you for having me.
And I want to thank everyone for watching on on Facebook Live. Giorgio just checked in. My friend Giorgio said this is hypnotic. It's true.
Oh.
You have Giorgio hypnotized if you want to give him some
Yes,
kind of
Giorgio.
suggestion. Bark like a dog.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Well, Giorgio should definitely check into find me on Instagram. We'll chit chat. I do weird stuff there.
I know for a fact Giorgio will. All right. Thank you for watching on Facebook Live. That's Tracie. That's Glen-fiddick. Thank you for watching.
Bye.